Hi, we're Jared and Lori Funk from the Fantastic Funks, and we are sharing the tips and tricks that we've learned traveling to national parks with a family of 6 and a wheelchair. So we have 4 kids, ages 11, twins who are 9, and then a 4-year-old. And Jared is the one who uses a wheelchair. We're talking today about Arches National Park that is in Moab, Utah. And we visited there recently, and our experience was great. We loved Arches. That might be one of our top national parks we've been to so far. The first place we stopped was the visitor center. It's right at the beginning, so it's hard to miss. And it was a really nice visitor center. It was big. It told a lot about the park itself.
Good gift shop there that the kids loved.
Yeah.
Good bathrooms, filling up with water. That's the thing. We went in the summer, so yeah, tons of water.
We need water.
Lots of water. The visitor center.
The visitor center was very accessible, totally paved. It had the buttons for the doors and everything. So if you're in a wheelchair, it's a good first stop. And then the rangers are very helpful. And then the first stop we made after the visitor center was the Park Avenue viewpoint and trailhead. One of our favorite spots. Yeah, it was a great first stop in the park, honestly, because it was gorgeous views. We got there right in the morning, and so the sun was rising, and it was really, the sky was amazing.
And the parking there wasn't a ton of handicap parking. I mean, maybe 2, but 1 or 2. The lookout is very close. It's paved all the way to the lookout, and it's a great lookout, like really beautiful. And then you have the trail off to the side, completely not accessible.
Yeah,
like
the trail's not accessible, but the kids and I went down that trail, and it's a lot of steps. And then you get down to we only went a little ways in the valley between these 2 big cliffs, but it was gorgeous down there. And if we had more time, we might have tried to hike, the kids and I, but it was definitely not accessible for a wheelchair.
Yeah, no, but I waved to them and they saw me and waved back.
Yeah,
so.
It's always a little bit of a bummer when that happens, but
Right.
I think Jared enjoys the quiet too sometimes. So the next stop we made was the Balanced Rock. This was our favorite spot. Yeah, Jared's favorite spot. It was gorgeous. I think we just had a really good day. The wind was blowing, so it wasn't too hot, and the sky was amazing.
Sky was amazing.
And this was a pretty popular spot. There were a lot of people, and we happened to hit it at a good time in between like groups of people, so that was kind of nice. But when we were leaving, there was a huge group of people coming in. The trail was paved to get all the way to the Balanced Rock. There was one little spot where the cement was like split.
It was gravelly. It was easy to get over, but yeah, just you got to get over one bump. But the pig trail, it went the closest to any monument you could get, or any
that we've done.
Like you were right there underneath it. And I think that's why it was my favorite, because it was the closest I could get. So not only was it cool seeing the Balanced Rock, but then you turn and you could really just see like this whole valley area. You could see some other arches off in the distance. And like you said, the wind was blowing. It was nice. It wasn't too hot.
You're able to go right up to the Balanced Rock, and you can see, so you're like right next to it, and then you can climb up. There's places to explore and climb up a little bit, so obviously Jared couldn't do that, but I took the kids up, and they had fun kind of exploring around and seeing. There was another Balanced Rock just right by it, and so that was a cool spot.
Yeah, and the parking was good. I think there were 2 handicap spots, but very tight. There's not tons of parking, so yeah, but we went early enough where I think we never really had any problems with parking.
Yeah, so the next spot we hit was the windows section. This is the spot where they have multiple arches. Like you can see like at least 3 arches from the spots where there's arches from the parking lot. So the trails to get to the arches aren't super accessible. It's gravel. Some of it's not super hard packed though. The kids and I hiked to the north windows arch. And you only get to a certain point that you could go if you had a wheelchair, and then there's stairs. So you can't even get up next to the arch there, but that was a good hike. All of our kids were able to make it and do well, even the 4-year-old. And you can go right up, like be under the arch, which is really cool. So we only did that one hike, and Jared waited in the parking lot.
Right in the parking. The nice thing about the parking lot, like there's bathrooms, there's parking, and it is central. So I could see all 3 of the arches. Bit of a bummer not to be able to go to it, and like you said, like I could have put on like my trail wheels and maybe got closer, but yeah, without crawling or having someone carry me, like there's no way I'm getting to the arches. But still good views.
As we were driving out of the parking lot, and that parking lot had bathrooms, and I don't think they had water there, but they had bathrooms, and it was a big parking area, because I think it's a pretty popular spot. There were tons of people. Yeah.
2 main parking areas.
So as we were leaving, there's a double arch trail that was, we didn't do that one, but it did seem like it might have been a little bit more accessible if you're gonna try to do a trail with your wheelchair. But we can't vouch for that because we didn't do it. But
we were running on fumes, to the point that at 4-year-old, we have a great picture. He got back to the parking lot and just laid down on the cement, with his arms behind his head, and just was like tired.
He was done. He was already done by this point. So then the next, we stopped for lunch next. The ranger told us about this picnic area, the Devil's Garden picnic area. This was a cute little spot. It only had like 3 or 4 picnic tables, but they were all completely covered, and so in the shade, which was really nice.
They're spread apart from each other too, like different
so
areas.
you had your own little space, which was nice, and on a cement slab, so it was like, it felt really clean. So we had lunch there.
So there's one, I will say, there was one covered that you park and it's paved to it. Like there's the one luckily it wasn't used, that I could roll fully paved right to the picnic area. So that was nice. But the dirt there, at least when we went, was so hard, compact,
so packed,
that I was wheeling all over the place with no issues. Not even with my trail wheels, just my normal wheels.
So that was a fun spot because we were able to explore a little bit. It's like right between these 2 big rocks, so it feels like a cavern or something, and it was, I don't know if it's always like this, but it was a super windy day when we were there, and so there was one point Jared didn't have his hands on his wheels and he was moving, like the wind was pushing him.
Right, from a dead stop,
our 4-year-old hated this area, that when we started exploring, because the wind scares him, and then the wind was whipping up some dirt, and so it was, the rest of us really liked this spot, but our 4-year-old hated it.
Well, it was nice too. I mean, there's no arches there, but again, you're between these 2 slabs, and again, because the rocks were hard, like I got to touch the red rock, and I got to get right up next to it, so that was nice. It was a nice area, and it wasn't too busy. I mean, maybe we just hit it on a good day, but it was a really.
We were there on a Friday, so we would have thought it would be more busy, but so that was fun. And then there was this one area the kids could go kind of climb up this little hill that they liked.
Almost reminded me of Lion King, like the little Lion King rock.
Pride Rock.
Pride Rock.
That's funny. And the next thing we did was the Devil's Garden Trail. The ranger told us about this. He said it might be accessible, but we tried it. We made it to a point. It's a gravel path.
First off, I put on I have trail wheels, so I have changed my casters out in my wheelchair. So I wouldn't have tried it just in my normal wheelchair. Maybe others will, but so I had my big trail wheels on, and even that there were still some soft gravelly areas.
Yeah, the gravel wasn't super hard packed. It was doable with the trail wheels.
It was doable.
And the smart drive. The motor helped somewhat, but it kind of kept spinning out because of the gravel bit.
But there were some steep spots.
There were really steep spots.
The dirt, the smart drive almost didn't help because it was churning in the dirt there.
So there's a spot where you can take this whole trail path all the way around, not in a wheelchair, but an able person could do it. But we got to a point where there was this super steep incline, and it was we can't do it.
Well, and when we got to that super steep one, you had already helped push me up 2 or 3 other ones that were okay, we can manage this. And so by that time it was so make sure if you're going to do it and you have the wheels and you have the manpower, you have people that can help, or you have the arm strength, because it was a tough one. But it was also really cool because there were some cool views. You go through again this sheer cliff where the wind was insane. I've never felt it where it was so much, where it's kicking up sand and pelting you and hurt.
I mean, we all left just covered in a layer of dust because
and the youngest hated it. He was curled up on my
he did not like
lap.
That.
I was guarding him from that. But great view. The part we took was still really cool views. Again, we just got to a point, and we actually talked to some people on the way out. We're how far, what, and they were it gets kind of tough.
Yeah, I don't even know if we saw any arches on that spot.
I thought I saw one at a certain angle.
Yeah, but you, from a wheelchair, you're probably not going to see much as far as arches in this spot.
Right.
But it was cool. And then the last place we did was the Delicate Arch. That's the quintessential Arches National Park. That's what's on the Utah license plate and everything. So we knew we had to stop, but the only accessible viewpoint was the lower arch viewpoint, and it was
small.
we saw off in the distance. It was you could see it, but it was even in the pictures you're what are you looking at here?
What's in the picture?
Yeah.
And then right away the other trail to get to it, the ranger's that's tough. So you really need to.
So the lower arch, it was a gravel trail, but it was pretty flat and pretty close to the parking lot, so it was doable.
I just did my normal wheels on that.
We wanted to do it just because it was you have to see the what Arches National Park. It's what it's known for. So we saw it. We're glad we saw it, but honestly, we saw there the window spot. I would say was a much better spot for arches as far as.
It was for being the face of the national park. That's not the viewpoint. It just because we were so far away, it really knocked it way down.
Yeah. So we were able to do all of that in about let's see, we started at probably 9 and we finished by 2. So not even a full day, but we had young kids who were tired and ready to be done. If you were going to do more hiking or wanted to stop and enjoy more viewpoints, obviously it would take you longer. But I think from a wheelchair perspective, that's what we were able to do.
And we weren't rushing either. We were kind of taking our time.
It was a great day, but we would definitely recommend Arches, though. It was a great park, beautiful views, beautiful sky. Awesome.
Right. Yeah.